prove his vote-getting prowess, Kennedy challenged other rivals to face him in primaries.
I think what would be the greatest mistake would be for the Democrats to try to select a candidate who had not been willing to run in various primaries across the country in the spring. If he can't win a primary today in this state and other states, he can't beat Mr. Nixon in November.
The only major contender to answer the challenge was Hubert Humphrey, first in Wisconsin, later in West Virginia.
Hubert was a wonderful man, but he was totally disorganized. He kind of liked to do what he liked to do. He liked to talk as long as he wanted to talk.
Yes, sir, I want to say that I feel very much like Harry Truman did just a night or so before the election in 1948. And I have a feeling that somebody's apt to be feeling like Dewey the day after the election. And you know, that was anything but a happy feeling.
I am one of two candidates in the primary in West Virginia. There are no delegates.
John Kennedy was in Virginia, and he knew where the people were. He brought in sophisticated pollers. He had it all organized.
But now Kennedy would confront a silent, treacherous, and half-hidden foe that threatened all his gains.
We had sent Lou Harris to do a poll in West Virginia, and he came back with a poll showing that we'd win West Virginia by 70-30. And about 3 days after we were in, announced we were in, we had him do another poll, but this time we had him add the factor that John Kennedy was a Catholic. And we got a poll back which absolutely knocked us off the boards because it said we were going to lose the state by 70-30. And now we were in over our neck in there, and we had to figure out how to win. And we decided that we ought to address the Catholic issue straight on.
You would be divided between two loyalties to your church and to your state if you were to be elected president.
The question is whether I think that if I were elected president, I would be divided between two loyalties, my church and my state. Let me just say that I would not. I have sworn to uphold the Constitution in the 14 years I've been in Congress.
And in that month, we turned that state around from a 30-70 deficit to a 60-40 advantage.
One of the things which I sponsored was to take it out of the Department of Agriculture and put it in the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. A lot of this...
He got through that primary, and he'd been at mine heads and shops and corners at 4 o'clock in the morning and going until 12 at night, and shaking hands with people everywhere. Why, he knew this country. And it came out again and again and again in the decisions he made. So he was a fast learner.
Across the hinterland of America, Kennedy had made his sweep of the primaries, proved he could gather votes despite his Back Bay accent, his tailored look, his Catholicism.
The great issue is how we can demonstrate that a free society, with its freedom of choice, its breadth of...
Now one of those nominated at the Democratic Convention, he still faced formidable rivals in Adlai Stevenson, already once a candidate, and Lyndon Johnson, a powerful Senate leader, while Kennedy was still a schoolboy. Yet competing for the votes of the delegates, Johnson quickly found himself outmaneuvered when he pointed to Kennedy's poor attendance record in Washington.
6 days and nights I had to deliver a quorum of 51 men on a moment's notice to keep the Senate in session to get any bill at all. And I'm proud to tell you that on those 50 quorum calls, Lyndon Johnson answered every one of them. Although some men who would be president on a civil rights platform answered none. Senator Johnson, let me just say that I appreciate what Senator Johnson had to say. He made some general references to perhaps the shortcomings of other presidential candidates, but as he was not specific, I assume he was talking about some of the other candidates and not about me. So I come to you today full of admiration for Senator Johnson, full of affection for him, strongly in support of him for majority leader, and I'm confident that in that position, we're all going to be able to work together. Thank you.
In frantic, smoke-filled rooms, Kennedy and his team of young strategists continued to woo and win delegates long into the night. The next day would bring success or failure to their years of effort, as state by state the roll call of delegates' votes began.
Senator Johnson, 3 1/2 votes. Senator Kennedy, 104 1/2 votes. Senator Symington, 2 1/2 votes. Governor Stevenson, 3 1/2 votes.
Working the floor, Robert Kennedy continued pressure on each state delegation until at last 11 of Wyoming's 15 votes would bring a Kennedy victory.
Wyoming's vote will make the majority for Senator Kennedy.
The Democratic delegates had turned to the vision of a younger man. Now, in the wider battle to come, he faced sterner tests. He had won the allegiance of his own party. He still had to win the confidence of the nation at large.
All of us in this room and across the country are united together in our devotion to this country. We wish to keep it strong, and we wish to keep it free. It requires, at this critical time, the best of all of us. And I can assure all of you here who have reposed this confidence in me that I will be worthy of your trust. We will carry the fight to the people in the fall, and we shall win.
Rock and roll was never about big business. It didn't even feel like a business.
It was easier back then in the 60s because you'd mainly deal with notes and music and sound.
It grew from the small club to the larger facility and then to the larger one again.
Bill is more than a business acquaintance. He's a very dear friend of mine. And for a long time, he has helped us.
Music is a very, very big business, but in the long run, it's still those personal relationships that count, and the best way to stay in contact is by phone.
Music is the tool, but it's really about helping and reaching out to people and making that personal contact.
Carlos has his instrument. I've got mine.
Pacific Bell would like to thank Bill Graham and Carlos Santana for showing how the most successful business calls are personal.
Carlos, Miles is in town. You want to go?
Up. The kids are playing their music.
They call that music?
Where do we go wrong?
Without a doubt, Chevron.
Working separately.
Chevron.
And after reviewing technical data.
Chevron.
To choose a gasoline for their EPA testing.
Chevron.
All 4 major U.S. automakers independently chose Chevron. Not Arco, not Shell, not Exxon, not Mobil, not Amoco, not Union, not Texaco. Only Chevron Unleaded, with its patented Tetraline deposit control additive. 4 separate conclusions, 1 unanimous decision, use Chevron. Shouldn't you make this same decision? Chevron says yes.
Buying this house. For 3 months, that's all we thought about.
There were so many questions. We were convinced we'd never qualify.
You qualify for something you don't understand.
Needless to say, we were a tad nervous talking to Richard O'Neill at Home Savings about a loan. But he cleared up all the details, and now it's all ours.
Our house, our trees, our weeds.
It's people like the Hamiltons who make Home Savings $26 billion strong.
The political traditions of the Kennedy family were old and deep, and they began here, close to the echoing ship sirens and bird cries of Boston Harbor. Fleeing the Irish potato famine of the 1850s, Patrick Kennedy opened a tavern amid the other newly arrived immigrants in the city's